So a 1-0 lead here for the CCAA Cougars. As back to serve is Johanna Karsner, 5'9" junior. Just underway in our 1 o'clock match here today between Reynolds Mountain and the CCAA Cougars. So back to serve for the Eagles will be Alina McClendon, 5'6" senior. Tracked down by Karsner, back up front. This just sent over and into the net. The Cougars in a 2-1 lead for Reynolds Mountain. Clennon with the serve. This played up front, still alive here. Now back on the near side, sent across, and that will fall in. And we're tied at 2. Back for the Cougars is Laura Wilson. She'll get set to serve as McKenna Ramage into the lineup for Cougars as well. And that's inside that back line. 3-2 lead here for Reynolds Mountain. Serve here by Hannah Kendall, taken up front. Karsner back set. And the hit there by Abigail Sparkman, a 5'8" junior. We're back tied at 3. And Topanga Dooley, a 5'5" junior, will get set to serve for the Cougars. Set to the outside. That's blocked up front. Good job by the front line for the Cougars and a 4-3 lead. Five-3 the lead for the Cougars here in the middle of set 1. Okay. All right, we're going to reboot the system here. We lost the scoreboard and a couple other things, so we're going to reboot that. We'll be back here in just a few minutes as a 5-4 lead for the Cougars. We'll be right back as soon as we get things fixed here. (10-6) the lead here for the Cougars. Make it 11-6 off the ace. And timeout to Reynolds Mountain. 11-6 the lead for CCAA. Take a break. Back with more from the NACA tournament in a moment. Serve here is an ace. Make it now 12-6. Jessica McLean, a 6-foot junior, serving here for the Cougars. That is out of bounds. Make it 12-7. And serving for Reynolds Mountain is Elizabeth Carter. Back in the middle, that's just set across, and now Reynolds Mountain to play it back in the near side. McClendon will get a kill. Make it 12-8. Karsner in the middle, that's just bumped over. As Karsner now tries to put it back to the back row. Now it's sent back across, and the Eagles to play it on that back line. Put over by Lale. Tipped across by Karsner up front. Saved back to the middle and bumped over. As they'll play it again across. Now the Cougars an opportunity. Karsner sets it near side. And that'll eventually fall in. And a 13-8 lead for the Cougars. So back to serve for the Cougars is Johanna Karsner. As Maddie Bruckman checks in for the Cougars. So if you return back up front and then tipped across. Now in the middle, there's a nice kill for Hannah Kendall. And Reynolds Mountain back to within 13-9 here in the first set. So again, to serve for Reynolds Mountain is Alina McClendon. So 13-11 as it's returned back up front. Cougars trying to get things reset here. And that hit into the net, so 13-12. Lead now for the Cougars is Reynolds Mountain making a little bit of a run here. Alina McClendon continues to serve as that goes into the net. So a 14-12 lead for the Cougars. And Laura Wilson's serve. Played near side into the net, so an ace will make it 15-12. Well, there's a line drive serve, tracked down over here on the near side. Set across by Kendall. Now again, the Eagles with an opportunity. Kendall just sets it over. And the hit on the near side goes into the net. So 15-13. The lead now for the Cougars. So 16-13 back to serve for CCAA is Topanga Dooley. Well, that's a nice serve and an ace. That'll make it 17-13. So Dooley with another serve. There's another ace. Make it 18-13. So ricochets off the ceiling, played to the far side. Bumped across there by Kristen Williams and eventually falls in on the Cougar side. So 18-14. Serve here by Williams, set back to the near side. And the kill there by Jessica McLean. Now 19-14. Jolie Montgomery checks in and will get set to serve. Finally got the volleyball back here. So Montgomery with the jump serve. That's an ace. To make it 20-14. Montgomery with the serve and another ace. Make it 21-14. And that hit under the net by McClendon. And 22-14. Cougars inching a little bit closer to clinching a set one victory. It's finally put back across. Set on the near side. And another kill for McKenna Ramage. Make it 23-10. Or 23-14, excuse me. I don't know why I said 10, other than the fact that my brain is about half operating at this point in the day. Let's track down and will eventually fall in. 24-14. We're up to set point here for the Cougars. Serve here from Montgomery is an ace. And that'll do it for set one, 25-14. Take a break, come back with set two in a moment. You're watching the NACA National Tournament. So Alina McClendon with the serve to start set 2. And a 1-0 lead here for Reynolds Mountain. McClendon's serve is an ace, and now a 2-0 lead. Serve here played up front. It's deflected, and we got a lift on, I think, Johanna Karsner, but I'm not 100% sure about that. And there's another ace. And now a 4-0 lead here in set 2. And we've said this before, when Alina McClendon is serving, there's something about the way she serves the ball that just seems to make it a little more difficult to be returned. There's a good track down on the far side by Montgomery, and now Reynolds Mountain with it again. Is that pushed across? This will come back to the middle of the floor and set over. Push across is dug out and dumped back over by Elizabeth Jordan, and it's a 5-0 lead for the Eagles. Served by McClendon, taken in the middle. That's blocked up front, but still going here, and that hit into the net by Kristen Williams. 5-1, the lead now for Reynolds Mountain, as Maddie Bruckman checks in for the Cougars. Serve here played far side, bumped over by McClendon. And a good hit on the near side by Bruckman. A 5-2 lead now for Reynolds Mountain. Back to serve is Johanna Karsner. So on the near side, that goes off the net, put back up. Get a nice kill up front by Abigail Sparkman. Karsner with a serve. That's an ace. So now 5-4 the lead for the Eagles. And Karsner from the Cougars set to serve again. And that tipped into the net. Now we're tied at 5. Serve here's a little bit more of a floater, sent back on the near side, and that hit deep in that back line. Good play there by Howard, and that's eventually hit out of bounds. So 6-5 the lead for Reynolds Mountain. Serve here taken back on the near side. That hit into the net by Laura Wilson. Make it a 7-5 lead. Pushed back up front, now saved back out and ricocheted across. About 4 hits on the Cougars. Make it 8-5, and again, Hannah Kendall to serve for Reynolds Mountain. Pushed across, now back in the middle. Tipped over, good hustle by Karsner. And that falls in off the hit from Laura Wilson. 8-6 the lead for the Eagles. Back in for the Cougars is McKenna Reg. And the serve by Wilson. Played back on the near side. Put across there by Williams. Trying to set middle of the floor. And that kill from Gabby Sawyer, the 5'11 senior. Now Williams back to serve for Reynolds Mountain. Eagles will play it far side, put across again by Kendall. Set in the middle, that's slapped over. And just set across. Back on the near side. Now Cougars will set it back. It's played over and eventually killed for the Eagles. Make it 10-6. And a timeout to the Cougars. Take a break, come back with more of set 2 in a moment. You're watching the NACA. Serve here from Williams. That is just out. As Cougars will get set to serve. 10-7 is the lead for Reynolds Mountain. Taken back into the middle and then pushed over, try to set to the outside. That hit into the net by the front line of the Cougars. Into the lineup for Reynolds Mountain comes Samantha Lale. They lead at 11-7. Lale serve, played back to the middle. Hit deep and then dumped back over by the Eagles. And going all the way over the center line for Reynolds Mountain was Elizabeth Jordan. Had to hustle to get back up there to try to save it and just couldn't stop her momentum in time. So it's 11-8 Reynolds Mountain as Cougars set to serve. Jolie Montgomery lets it fly, and that is an ace. Make it 11-8. Now, last time Jolie served, she went on a run of 6 or 7 straight, so let's see what she does here. Jolie, a 5'3" sophomore. And this left back up. And somebody's in the net for the Cougars. And a 12-9 lead for Reynolds Mountain. Here played back in the middle, and that hit inbounds, and that back corner. Good play from Jessica McLean. Picked a good spot on the floor, makes it 12-10. Is back in for CCAA is Jessica Howard. So we played somewhere in the middle, and that rolls over the top of the net and in. So held by McLean again, makes it 12-10 Reynolds Mountain. Jessica Howard to serve. Track down McClendon, hits that out of bounds. Make it 12-11 and a timeout to Reynolds Mountain. So back to a 1-point set. We'll take a break. Back with more in a moment. We're watching the NACA. So back tied at 12 here as hit ricochet. Now it's blocked up front and end up being a point for Reynolds Mountain as they now lead at 13-12. Served by Carter, played to the outside. That is hit out of bounds. I believe they said somebody was in the net for Reynolds Mountain, so we're tied at 13. And that goes right through the fingertips of Carter. Make it 14-13, the lead for the Cougars. And that's served out of bounds. Back tied at 14. McClendon will get set to serve. Back in from Reynolds Mountain is Gabby Sawyer. So if you take it far side, that's just set over. And that will eventually fall in. So a 15-14 lead for the Cougars. Maddie Brockman back in. So Pierre played up front. That's put across. Now played to the outside and just bumped over. So to the near side is back out. Hit there by Wilson. Tip back over again. Now Reynolds Mountain with an opportunity. McClendon with the hit there. Set back in the middle. Put over now by Sawyer. That hit out of bounds. And now back to serve for Reynolds Mountain is Hannah Kendalls. We're all tied up at 15. Kendall serve played up front. They try to set it across. And a kill on the far side by Kendall. So it'll be 16-15, the lead for the Eagles. So again, Kendall to serve. Step back over now. Kendall on the near side. That's inside the back corner. Good hit by Kristen Williams. 17-15, Reynolds Mountain. Take it back in the near side. Let's just tip across and in, making it 17-16. And the lineup for the Cougars returns McKenna Ramage. Serve into the net by Wilson. Will make it 18-16 Eagles. Again, Kristen Williams to serve. And that is out. Make it 18-17. Abigail Sparkman to serve here for the Cougars. Sparkman will play it there. Now on the back row. That hit is a kill on the back line for Laura Wilson. And now we're tied at 18. Here played back to the middle and then just bumped over. Played at the net and that hit out of bounds. 19-18. The lead for Reynolds Mountain. Now Samantha Lale back in for the Eagles. And Lale to serve here. That is in along that back line. 20-18. With the serve. That now tracked down. Karsner to the outside. That just put over. Kendall back to the middle. That hit out of bounds. Make it 20-19. Jolene Montgomery will check in, and this is always a problem, it seems like, when she goes back to serve. We'll see what happens here. Montgomery has had a couple nice little runs. And that goes into the net. That'll make it 21-19. Elizabeth Jordan gets set to serve for Reynolds Mountain now. And that's in at 22-19. And a timeout to the Cougars. Take a break, come back with more of set 2 in a moment. You're watching the NACA. 22-19 Reynolds Mountain. Serve from Jordan. Play to the outside. Just set over there by Wilson. Back to the middle, Kendall, and that's a kill. So 23-19. But Jordan will get set to serve again, trying to finish out the string here for Reynolds Mountain in set number 2. CCAA took set 1. Set across, and that hit out of bounds. That'll be 23-20. Back in for the Cougars is Jessica Howard. And an ace. They'll make it 23-21. So this not done yet. And timeout to Reynolds Mountain. And that is it for all the timeouts. Take a break, come back with the finish of set 2. In just a moment, you're watching the NACA. (23-21). Serve play to the outside. McClendon fires and scores again. So the kill makes it 24-21. Eagles 1 point away from taking set 2. Stuff back up front, and we have Kendall in the net. So it's 24-22, still set point. As Sparkman returns for the Cougars. And that serve is out of bounds, and that'll do it. Reynolds Mountain wins set 2, 25-22 over CCAA. And these two clubs split a pair here this afternoon. Next match comes up at 2 o'clock, about 15 minutes or so. While we get to that, you've been watching the NACA National Championship Tournament.